Hello, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the webinar today, hosted by ProfitSense and facilitated by BBR Marketing. Today's webinar is entitled "Leveraging Your Client Relationships for New Clients." I'm going to get into a little bit about what ProfitSense is, what Sageworks is, and also a little bit about BBR Marketing and our presenter today, Bonnie Bull-Rezick. She is the president of BBR Marketing. We're really excited to have her on today's webinar. She's going to be sharing a lot of innovative marketing strategies for your accounting firms to start taking advantage of client relationships and how to continue to grow your firm. But before we get into that, I want to go into a quick market research question that I had for you guys. It'll be a really quick question on the other page, and mainly about electronic tax returns and just your comfortability in providing them to your clients. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that really quick, and then I'll jump into more information about ProfitSense and then who Bonnie is and how she's going to be presenting today. All right, I'm waiting on the last few people to answer, and then I'll go ahead and close it out and show the results. All righty. Thank you very much. So now we're going to go on to the next slide, and I'm going to go over a few housekeeping items. One, we'd really like to facilitate today's webinar as a conversation. So as Bonnie's kind of running through some information and best practices for your firm, please feel free to engage in questions. And you can do that on the side panel from the GoToWebinar software, where it has a question screen that you can open up and just type into us. And we will be saving this for a brief Q&A at the end of today's webinar. And additionally, I wanted to let you know that you will be emailed slides from today's webinar and a recording so that you can go over it and share it with people in your firm or your friends. If you have any questions about the software and how to use it, please just also send that through the questions box. And then we'll move on to the next page, and I'll tell you a little bit about Sageworks. Oops. So Sageworks is a financial information company, and we have aggregated a lot of data from numerous industries, over 1,400 industries, and we are in the accounting space and as a way to help develop your client relationships and to grow your firm. We're used in a way to help scale your business, and we'll get into that later, but really what I wanted to emphasize to you today is that we are a technology partnership. We have really great qualified consultants here who are available to help your firm in how you reach out to clients and how you use our software. So they're here to train you in how to do that, and it's something that we take very seriously, and you can see we've had a few awards, and we just actually got another award for customer service, and that's something that's important to us and something that we implement in our software services as well. And that's about it for Sageworks right now. Now I also want to talk a little bit about today's presenter, Bonnie Bull-Rezick. So Bonnie is very qualified in her field. She's the president of BBR Marketing and also one of Accounting Today's top 100 most influential people, and she's been so for the past 2 years. She's also the author of Take Your Marketing Online, which some of these tips and tricks she'll be sharing today are in that, and I would highly recommend going and checking that out on Accounting Today's website. And then she's also the president of the Atlanta AIM chapter. But she and her staff provide marketing services and strategy for professional services firms, and she's really fantastic at creating and implementing customized solutions to fit each particular firm that she serves. And so with that, I want to hand it over to her, and she's going to tell you a little bit about what she does, and she's going to jump into today's topic and share with you some of the ways that you can be engaging your current clients to find new clients.
Thank you, Zach. I really appreciate that. And thank you to everyone that's here today. Hopefully, you will walk away with some knowledge that you didn't have when you showed up, and we'll be able to kind of turn this into a conversation. I'm particularly excited about the Q&A session at the end because hopefully we'll get some input from you guys on how you've been able to increase referrals at your firm as well. But Zach did a good job of describing me. BBR marketing has been around just a little over 6 years, and I would somewhere between 50 and 60% of our clients are in the accounting industry. Prior to starting the company, I was a marketing director for a mid-size accounting firm, so I've seen how it functions on the inside and also now on the outside as a consultant to the industry, and we absolutely love working with CPA firms, so I am excited to be here today. We're going to start off with another poll question real quick, so I take it back and then I'm going to hand it back to Zach here, and then we're going to dive into some of the main topics that we're talking about today.
So today's first question is, what is the biggest problem firms face? And just from what you've experienced on your own, what has been the biggest difficulty and how you've been trying to grow your firm? All right, well, we're finishing up and I'll close out the poll. Bonnie, is this what you're expecting to see?
Actually, and it is. Partner accountability with a 0 is kind of surprising, but that's not uncommon when it's a room full of partners, as nobody wants to be held accountable for their own stuff. But yes, firm growth is by far the largest issue, and that was kind of what we had put together here. And it's whether you have grown through referrals, whether you've grown through acquisitions, whether you've grown organically by adding new clients. Every firm is different, but it is always one of the top things that on every survey, regardless of who does it, that concerns firms is, how are we going to continue to grow? And even firms that have had 80–90% of their business come from referrals is fantastic. And we help firms get business through a variety of different methods, but frankly, any business you can get through a referral is definitely some of the best business you'll probably get. And ultimately, over time, unless these relationships are nurtured and you implement some of the tactics we're going to talk a little bit about, the problem is a lot of firms outgrow their referral network. So, the number of people that can be referred to you, while there's probably a little bit of ebb and flow to that, a lot of times you kind of reach the ceiling of that and have to look at different things. So this is kind of taking that into account a little bit, as well as some other factors. But referrals, by far, best way to get new business. 65, this is a lot of statistics that we found in quotes, and 65% of business at professional services firms typically comes from referrals. 92% trusted referrals from people that they knew. So they come to the table with a certain level of trust and legitimacy that people that are not being referred, people that may find you blind or online or various other ways, don't innately have. People are 4 times more likely to buy when referred by a friend. And this is probably, I see this going nowhere but up. And part of the reason for that is, referrals and giving businesses recommendations has really become such a part of our online lifestyle that we do it without even thinking about it. I don't know about you, but when I was recently booking a hotel using Expedia, and more so than the number of stars or things like that, the one thing that I typically will look for in deciding between A, B, and C hotel is the referrals from people that have stayed there and the recommendations that they have made. And we do that in so many different ways in our lives. So, the fact that this is 4 times more likely, I think over time we'll see it jump to 5, 6, and even 7 times more likely, just as it becomes even more and more a part of our lifestyle. The lifetime value of a referred customer is 16% higher than that of one who is not referred. And this was from the Wharton School of Business. So, you have to get fewer referred customers than you do ones that come from other methods to basically equate to the same revenue. 83% of consumers are willing to refer after a positive experience, yet only 29% actually do. This is a scary number, and one that we're kind of going to refer to today as we're going through the presentation, because if you can increase that 29%, even by another 5, another 10%, and get anywhere half of the 83% of consumers that are willing to refer you to do so, the chances of you growing at the pace you want to vastly increase. And it's not, think about your own life. It's not that you aren't happy with the service, not that you wouldn't like to see the businesses you work with grow and expand and reach their goals, and the owners of those businesses be able to achieve their dreams that they had when they opened their business. We're just all busy. We're ridiculously busy, and don't necessarily think of making a referral, of going and writing a great review for that restaurant you went to, or when you talk to somebody, usually there has to be a trigger factor, where somebody says, hey, I'm looking for a great CPA firm, do you know anybody? Of course you're going to make a referral when you're asked that question, but to do so without that prompting, it's a very small percentage of people that actually do. So let's help them do that. So today we're kind of going to talk about 3 different areas where ways to get more referrals from clients and other sources. Number 2 is how to get more work from your current clients. And 3 is more creative approaches to service so that you can bring in more business by kind of approaching the market in a little bit of a different way. So first we want to talk about the getting more referrals, because that's certainly where most people kind of tend to focus their attention. And before we do, we have another poll question. So I'm going to hand it back over to Zach temporarily, and then he will hand it back to me.
All right, so this poll question is pretty straightforward. Do you have a referral strategy? All right, I'm closing it out. I'm going to share the results. Bonnie, is this it's pretty one-sided? Is this what you're expecting?
Yeah, I think it does not surprise me at all. Actually, I'm pleased that it's 26% that say yes, because most of us, and I count the firms that we work with, and frankly our firm on some level, when we first started, really didn't necessarily think about this. That it's a tactic that needs to have a strategy behind it. As long as people are referring you and you're getting new business and everybody's happy and hunky-dory, it's not something that you're going to think about, creating a strategy for. But like anything else, if you think about it as a, something that is important for your firm, something that you put goals to, you put measurements next to, it's going to be more likely to get done. So kind of talk a little bit about creating a strategy for it. You know, it's this, and it doesn't mean you have to spend hours and hours and hours and hours writing a huge document or anything like that, where, you know, nobody anymore reads really long tomes unless it's for typically for entertainment purposes. But you need to think about, you know, define the type of referrals you want. And sometimes what that takes is taking a look at the clients you currently have and figuring out which ones are the most profitable. Which are the types of clients that you like working with the most, or others in your firm like working with the most? You know, what types of work have the highest realization rates? You know, there's a number of different things that you can look at. Are there particular industries where you seem to be able to provide value that competing firms really can't? So kind of figure out, you know, what types of people do you want to talk to? You know, the owners of what types of businesses, the CFOs at what types of businesses, whatever that might be. But, you know, it sounds kind of like a no-brainer, but, you know, a lot of times it's like you don't necessarily, your other clients and your referral sources don't necessarily know what kind of people you want to talk to. And it may surprise you and it may surprise them when you really sit down and do some analysis to figure out, you know, who are the types of clients that if you could clone them, you would do it, and describe them as thoroughly as you can. And then develop a system and track your requests. You know, those of you that use a CRM system to manage your, your contacts, your database, typically they have a plugin or a system that's part of the system that you can use to track referrals and, you know, requests for referrals and all that sort of thing. If not, maybe it's just as simple as an Excel spreadsheet. Whatever works best for you is fine. I'm sure there are those out there that would, you know, say the one system is the best one, but it really is a matter of just doing it and figuring it out. Don't get hung up on the process of it. You know, put together a system that's going to work for you and your firm and just be very consistent with it, because it gives you such valuable information over the long run. Sometimes it's a matter of timing it appropriately. So, you know, maybe this is a brilliant time of year to be having this webinar because, you know, most firms that have a heavy tax practice are going to be either meeting with, talking on the phone, or certainly corresponding online with just about every single one of your clients. It's tax season coming up, guys, and I know you so now I don't know who to talk to. Hopefully, those people in the firm will have friends and colleagues that you have already talked to and given them some great information about how to refer, what the types of referrals you're looking for, and the best way to refer their friends into your firm. And we'll talk about some of those here in a minute. But, you know, the other side of that is when you do get referrals, don't make the effort to thank the referral source. And we're big fans of sending a gift as well. And it doesn't have to be something, you know, very expensive or elaborate. You know, even if it's something like an Amazon gift card, or, you know, even if it's just a handwritten card, things like that. Really, people really take notice of that. And if they know that you appreciate the effort that they made and are willing to take the time to thank them, they're going to be much more likely to send more business to you down the road. And then finally, follow up promptly. You know, make sure that you do that thank you, send it quickly. Keep people up to date, especially if the referral turns into a client. Say thank you so much. This person is now a client and we couldn't have done it without you. Most clients really are, we talked about this earlier, happy to refer you. They just don't think about it. They don't have time. So make it easy for them. Include forwarding links in your emails and thank you pages. Write an email template for them to customize and forward to their friends. Be specific about the types of introductions you want, and thank them. Even give them a description, that detailed description that you put together as part of your strategy. Cut that down to something that's very simple and share that with your referral sources. They want to help you in a way that's going to be beneficial and not be sending business that you're not going to have any desire for. Another great way to do this and a wonderful opportunity is turn a compliment into a referral. When somebody comes to you and says, wow, you guys did an awesome job, thank you so much, you saved me so much on my taxes, well, turn that around and say, I'm so pleased you're happy with our work. Do you know anyone else that could benefit from our services? That's a beautiful moment for you to do that. And you shouldn't be ashamed or afraid to ask for referrals. Probably should have said that up front, because everybody is in business for a reason. None of us are running nonprofits, I don't think. While you shouldn't be ashamed to ask for help, you shouldn't be ashamed to ask for referrals. People, that 83% is happy to do it. Maybe they don't know how, and maybe they didn't know that you wanted any more business. Don't be shy about it, but a great time to do it is when you're getting a compliment. Also, take advantage of second-degree LinkedIn connections. We don't have a lot of time to get into the details of that, but if you see that somebody you're connected to knows somebody that you want to be connected to, ask them to make the introduction. I get and send these types of introductions all the time, and it's really basically kind of taking advantage of what could be a warm lead. So set a weekly goal, stick to it. Whatever that goal might be, whatever that goal makes sense. You may need to adjust it during times like busy season, but even during busy season, you should still be working on this process, because come May, you don't want to have absolutely nothing on your books. Don't limit your request to just clients. Think about businesses. It's a quaint that could be sending business. Then give referrals generously. You give referrals to one of your clients or send them some business. They're going to be much more likely to do so. It's kind of, we could talk about ways to mix current clients. Because if you've already got a client that's happy, expanding the work you do for them is a much less expensive way to bring in more revenue, and it's can be an easier way to do so as well, for sure. So some of the things that we've seen work really well is, again, much this time of year is one of the great times to be doing it. Do an annual review of their business, of what it is they're doing with you. Take a big picture look at, what are they how are they trying to grow? What do they have on the horizon for the next year, 2 years? What have they overcome or accomplished in the last year or 2 years? And look at other ways that you can be offering them assistance in addition to what you're currently doing. A lot of clients don't know the services, all of the services you provide. A lot of times it's just a matter of letting them know the services you provide. Always be asking questions. I think this is a good rule for every area of our life, but certainly, be asking questions about their business, about the big picture. be that that consultant, that trusted advisor who they see and they want to go to with questions that may not be exactly related to what it is you do for them, but they see you as a knowledgeable resource. And a lot of times what happens is these questions will uncover areas of need that you can then provide service for and expand the work you're doing for them. And then always be delivering value and advice above what you are paid for. I know that this can go too far the other side as well, where you're kind of giving away the store. But I'm a big believer in make sure that when somebody sits down and talks about what they do with you as their CPA, that a lot of at from the point of view of the CPA as well as the financial planner. Human resources professionals. I've seen an outsourced CPA firm and an outsourced human resources firm partner up together to offer their services package to small businesses that are outsourcing those services. So, think outside the box and be a little bit creative, and you may have opportunities to put together some packages that could help you increase business as well. Again, be the information resource for your clients. You want them to come to you when they have questions. And if you don't know the answers, that's just fine. You know people who you can refer them to that will know the answers. And always be asking what sort of referrals they need and make introductions for them. That's always appreciated, and it really does make people feel like that you're looking out for their best interest, and therefore they're going to probably be looking out for yours. So wanted to kind of go into very briefly, the other marketing tactics that you need to think about to make sure that you're closing the deal when you do get referrals. And one of the biggest challenges I've seen, or one of the biggest issues or things that will stop a referral from calling the firm to get more information, is having a poor website. Everybody goes to websites to vet vendors to get more information, to learn what they can, and if it is old information, if it hasn't been updated forever, if it doesn't exist, certainly, if they can't view it on their phone or their iPad, if the pictures look like they were taken in the 80s, so many things can really turn somebody off. And fair or not, a lot of people will actually make a purchasing decision, or at least a decision on whether to contact a firm based on what they see on a website. So if I can absolutely make sure that you have a good, up-to-date, informative website, and that's probably your biggest and strongest marketing tool. Other things like keeping LinkedIn profiles up to date. A lot of people will go to LinkedIn to look for service providers, so make sure that your individual profile as well as your firm profile are both as up-to-date and updated as possible, thorough. Fill out everything you possibly can on there. And, to the level that you can, be active on LinkedIn, and it's a great way for you to expand the business that you provide. Other social media platforms can also be wonderful ways for you to increase awareness for your firm and reach out to other providers who may or may not, other providers that may be able to partner with you or send you business, as well as directly with potential clients. Be an information resource, write blog posts, send out newsletters, hold networking events. All of these things you hear about when you think about marketing, but this is all wonderful ways for you to expand the referrals that you get too. Anytime you can speak in front of a group of people, take advantage of it and jump on it. And if you're not comfortable speaking, or feel like that's not your strength, if at all possible, get training. I can tell you it's one of the most powerful ways for you to show your expertise and demonstrate the specialties of your firm, and do it in person where people can walk up to you afterwards and get your information. It's a powerful part of your marketing strategy. Get involved in groups of industries you serve, and write case studies about how you've helped other clients. Send a mailer out occasionally. It's kind of one of the things that is happening out there is, for a while, everything went by mail, and then there was the balance of mail and email, and now we've kind of tipped over to the side that we all get so many emails we can't begin to read them all. Now, if you send out a really interesting and eye-catching mailer, that can be much more effective and have much more impact than any email you send. So, think about going old school mail with some things. And then, offer incentives for good referrals. You start sending out little gifts, or, maybe I can give you a 20% discount on your tax return next year, or, whatever it might be. Offer incentives and promote that. Put it in your newsletter and on your website and in the signature of your email, so people are reminded about that and are going to be more likely to send business your way. So, finally, all this sounds great, and believe me, I've heard this so many times before, but I have a real job and I'm a CPA. So how in the world am I going to get all this done? You don't have to do all of it, and you don't have to do all of it at once. That's where a marketing plan comes into play, and your referral strategy is certainly a part of that much larger plan. But there's ways you can do it yourself and handle things. Is delegate work to others in the firm, spread it out, and schedule things like blog posts, say, for example. create a schedule and give everyone plenty of time to complete their task and let them know when it's due. You know, everybody can do something. And like there was a law firm we worked with who had 12 partners. Well, that basically meant that each partner wrote one blog post a month. That is, or one blog post a year. You can do that. you have a year's warning and you have to write one a year. You can certainly do that. You know, not everyone's going to have that flexibility, but you can certainly, certainly take care of that one way or another. And if you can't, there are outside experts. You can hire part-time staff. You know, however it makes the most sense for you to manage these tasks, do so. You know, don't ignore it, and don't, you know, be one of the firms that kind of sits and says, well, I really, really want to grow, but then doesn't really make any effort to make that happen. So, gonna have a final poll question here, and then I'm going to hand it back over to Zach and Luke to talk a little bit about Profit Sense, and then we'll have a Q&A session at the very end.
All righty, so I'm launching the poll now. The question is, how do you manage marketing tasks? Also, this time I'd like to remind you that you can go ahead and ask any questions in the question box that you'd want Bonnie to address at the end during our Q&A time. Those are always really helpful. We'd love to be able to steer this presentation to what your needs are. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close out the poll and launch the results. Bonnie, what are your thoughts on these?
Again, not necessarily surprising. You know, I think marketing has not really been the, you know, as taken as seriously or deemed as important, and as a lot of other things within firms. And, you know, of course, delivering client work, and there are other things that take priority over it. But in reality, kind of having some sort of you know, strategy and some sort of plan in place really does help firms get where they want to be. So I'm glad to see that there are a lot delegating to people in the firm, but the we really don't part is not surprising, unfortunately.
All righty, well, we're going to go ahead and move into some things about Profit Sense, and really today what we want to do is talk about how Profit Sense plays into gaining new clients. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Luke Smothers, who's a colleague of ours here at Sageworks, and he has been with the company for years now and has hundreds of conversations with accountants probably every week. So he's a really great source for information, and he's just going to walk us through a little bit about how this software and our technology partnership helps accountants gain new clients.
All right, hey everybody, this is Luke Smothers. I've worked here at Sageworks for about 5 years now, and like Zach said, I work with the firms that are using our tools called a Profit Sense. And how does Profit Sense play into this type of strategy for building a referral network? And talk about that a little bit today. A lot of this is common sense, you know, send thank you cards, be available, and all that stuff. Just because it's common sense, though, doesn't mean that everybody does it. So definitely take notes on what Bonnie's been talking about. And I noticed a few questions come in. Be sure and keep those coming in so that we can address those here in a few minutes. We're going to love to dig into that. But as far as Profit Sense, one of the best ways to generate the word-of-mouth referrals that everybody loves to get and everybody wants to get more of is to just be a great provider. So if you're able to do that service for them well, and I mean really well, hitting home runs, then you're going to get referrals. They're going to tell their friends about it. Their people at the country club, people at the golf course, or wherever, they're going to tell them about what a great job you did. If you help them put some extra cash in the bank, you help them raise the bottom line. You help them uncover a problem area that they weren't even really aware of. So that's better. Taxes, very easy for them. We're going to put a software plan that firm, just kind of harping on the same thing. Spend less time doing your forecasting. Spend less time doing your projections and what have you, but free up that time so that you can actually spend that extra time that you now have to focus on these higher level services. This chart here shows the kind of the cyclical nature of offering these higher level services. Number one, they acquire and develop clients. We're going to talk in a minute about how you can use some of our proprietary industry information to help you impress prospective clients when you have those meetings with them. I hear so many accountants, they tell me, I always ask them, where do you get your new clients from? And they always say every time the same thing, word of mouth referrals. And then I say, well, when you first meet with that that prospective client, what do y'all talk about? And they say, well, you know, they want to know how much it costs, and you know, so they want to know how much it costs. So what people like to do with Profit Sense is take along an industry information report from our service, so that when you're in that meeting, you can have a little bit extra to talk about. It gives you the ability to demonstrate to that potential client that you have a familiarity with what's going on in their industry. So you're going to be able to stand out a little bit from any other CPAs they might be looking at. It's going to help you acquire clients. Along the way, you pick up those clients and you'll be able to offer all these services. You're going to be differentiated and generate an additional revenue by selling those additional services. And then number three down there, the fact that we have such an easy to use software, it's very easy and quick, so you can scale this out. You don't have to worry about, well, I only have time to use this with that one client. You'll be able to find other opportunities within your client book of business so that you can really scale this out. And then I call it a cycle because you notice the between kind of help you be a rock star or our CPA is our narrative. It's about how they rank with industry. But the best part about it is, Dan, when they're just sitting down and going over the financials, I'm sure you've all seen the glazed over looks in clients' eyes, and those can be tough conversations, but this narrative report gives you a roadmap software, the algorithm. They need to do. Find out that your client won't be more involved and value. So a big part of value is great, you know, giving these higher level services is great, but I don't have time. So free up some time for audits and your reviews, and you'll be able to make some time for what's really important, and that's adding that value to these relationships. I don't want to forget this. This is our latest enhancement, and it's really going to be a time saver for a lot of our customers. They love using Profit Sense with their clients, and tax season is a big time of year when they actually are right there with the client at the table. And it's a great time to use these reports so that you can add some you know what it is, to pull data from your completed in here. They are really good at training you on how to use our software. If you ever have problems, the technical support here is great. You can call us up. You don't have to answer, key in your account number or anything like that. Just talk to a person. We put you on the phone with somebody, and we get you the answers that you need as quickly as possible. But beyond that, just technical support, these guys, one of their favorite things to do is provide best practice insight and advice. They work with all of our customers, and we have around 4,000 accounting firms in the customer base, so they've seen a lot of the kinds of engagements and things that you may be going through before, so they kind of know the best practices. They'll be glad to share that with you as a Profit Sense customer too. And I believe it's maybe the last poll question, or maybe one of the last ones, but Zach's going to take it over from here.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll question today. We've just kind of been talking about how Profit Sense can help you gain clients, but this is something that you can go ahead and answer if you want to kind of continue to have the conversation outside of this webinar, so we can continue to talk about thought leadership and see where Bonnie's going to steer us in the question and answer time, that we can dive into this a little bit more deeply. We're waiting on the last few to come on in. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and close out the poll. And we have some excellent questions that were asked. And I'd also like to apologize for a second. We had some issues with our screen a second ago sometimes, and today GoToWebinar was a little bit frustrating. So thank you for bearing with us. But I did have a question for you, Bonnie, that I think we can start this Q&A time. This comes in, and it's about asking for referrals. And this past year, this person sent out an email to all their current customers requesting some referrals, and didn't get any traction or responses. So they're wondering, what's the next step in this without coming across too desperate and trying to connect with some new customers?
Well, I guess first of all, it kind of depends in part on what was in the message that went to the clients requesting referrals. You know, part of it may have been that, you know, that they weren't as clear on the types of business that they wanted, so people weren't quite sure what to do or who to send. You know, there may or may not have been some incentive involved in it, and people always love to get free stuff. But I think what I would recommend is talking to a meeting with clients about their a question or two into those interviews that you're going to be having with clients, and you know, tell them we are in the process of growing, and you know, these are the services we provide and the types of clients that we're looking for. You know, do you know anybody? You know, would you like those introductions? And you know, try to have those conversations one-on-one or one-on-few as much as possible, and then maybe, you know, down the road, you know, maybe in next year or even later, sometime next year, send out another note or, you know, email, kind of the broader, but make sure that you include as much information in there as possible, so that you're making it as easy on them as you can. People typically, if they like you and like your business, they're happy to send you referrals if they know people that are a good fit.
Okay. And that you kind of mentioned about tax season and during engagements, kind of having those conversations. One of the other questions was around tax season. What are some good ways to reach out to clients and remind them that referrals are appreciated?
I mean, one, certainly, you know, as you're having conversations with your clients, you know, it's a nice way to close the conversation and ask, you know, them to give you some referrals. You know, you can create a simple one sheet that gives the types of clients that you're looking for and gives them ways to make introductions. It's not overly pushy, but you can include that in their organizer, along with, or even send out in mailers or anything like that that you're doing. You know, or you know, we survive on your referral. You know, if there's any business that you could send to us, emails that you can remind them that you'd love to talk to their friends and colleagues, work it in and take advantage of it as much as possible.
All right. Well, we have one or two more questions. I also just wanted to encourage ask Bonnie that, but Bonnie, one of the other questions was, what role can social media?
Social media can play a nice big role. Frankly, for a lot of, the younger staff, and I'd say at this point anybody under 40 or even under 45, a lot, depending on where you are, a lot of people are very active on social media on a personal level, and many also on a professional level. It is a great way for you to meet people that you would never meet in any other way in life. You directly. Twitter has no restrictions on who you can follow. LinkedIn has pretty strong restrictions and requires that you meet certain jump over certain hoops and have certain information about somebody before you can connect to them. But once you are connected, you can make all kinds of join all kinds of groups, do all kinds of things to create relationships that can down the road turn into business. It's really kind of a new, and well, it's not even that new, but a online networking opportunity to some sort of business mix, or you're handing out cards to people that you're just meeting there, that business who are there for the same reason you are. It's just an online way to get to meet that same objective. And some people are going to be much more comfortable doing it that way than doing it in person. The best and most effective way is to combine the two.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Bonnie. I have one last question. Maybe you can answer this quickly since we're coming to the end of our time. But it's, what do you think of internal referral incentive programs at firms, and do they work?
I've seen internal referral plans work really well. So, basically it's giving some sort of, compensation, whether it's financial or days off or any variety of things to people within the firm that bring in business. Hopefully your staff is thinking about this on a regular basis, identify it when they see it. But having a system in place where they are rewarded for that activity always makes it much more effective and people more likely to take advantage of it.
Awesome. Will be slides as well as a recording of this webinar. And before we go, I just want to thank Bonnie again for being with us today, and also point you to how you can get in contact with her if you have some other questions that you'd like to ask her. Her contact information is here, and then also I'd really like to point out going and checking out Take Your Marketing Online. It's really helpful and insightful book how to market your firm and how to grow your business. We'll be sending out an email shortly with the slides in the recorded webinar. Thank you.